All right, buckle up because today's stories are a wild ride of relationships gone wrong, awkward moments, and full-blown chaos. We've got a guy who feels like he's competing with a sex doll, a boyfriend fighting to keep his own bed, and a birthday party that turned into public humiliation real quick. Oh, and let's not forget the guy realizing his girlfriend might actually be really dumb, and the one who found out his loyal partner had a work wife, but not the harmless kind. And just when you think things can't get worse, someone is facing a terrifying medical scare that could change their entire life. Relationships are messy, but some of these, downright brutal. Let's get into it. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subs. This is Luisi Stories, bringing you the wildest tales from the internet. I feel like my boyfriend's sex doll. My boyfriend's of a year is only my third sexual partner. When we met, he told me he hated getting oral but loved giving it. When we first started having sex, it was really good. I was worried he told me he was a porn addict previously, but the sex was very focused on my pleasure and I was pleased. I did try to give him oral, but he would stop it after a couple of minutes and move on to me. During those attempts, I could tell what he didn't like and did, so I stopped doing the things he didn't enjoy when I would go down. About a month into sex, he one day pulled my hair and started face-fucking me. After he asked me if I liked having him control me when down there, or if I preferred being in control, I told him I was really uncomfortable being held down there, and I was really uncomfortable being face-fucked. He claimed he liked me being in control. Last 2 months or so, sex has completely shifted. He hasn't gone down on me. I feel like a rag doll he uses. He grabs my legs and moves me where he wants me, and grabs my head, and pushes me into giving him oral often while holding me down there. Then last weekend happened. I said I wanted to try anal but have been scared. We tried it once before, but it hurt, and I cried out and he stopped. It wasn't off the table to try again. He woke me in the middle of the night while I was asleep on my side by entering me from behind, on his side too. It felt good. And he and I have an agreement to wake up sex when we spend the night together, even middle of the night. A few minutes in, he pulls out and aims at my ass. He pushed in a little. I cried out and pulled away. No lube used, and he has a big dick. He put his hand over my mouth and grabbed my waist and pulled me hard back onto his cock. I started crying from the pain, but he just held me there while he finished with his hand on my mouth. When he was done, I told him it hurt, and all he said was, "I never said no," and rolled over and went to sleep. Then he woke me up again a few hours later and repeated the whole thing, so I was super sore and have been since. I love him, but I don't love feeling like his sex toy. Edit. I'm sitting here crying. I felt used, but never really thought about the fact I was violated. I grew up in an abusive household, and sometimes boundaries and normal things don't feel normal, and abuse and bad things do. I've been really emotionally numb to this all. And I guess I needed a wake-up call to see this isn't okay behavior. Damn, this is heavy. First off, this isn't just a relationship problem. This is straight-up assault. The way this guy started out all attentive and then completely flipped the dynamic into something so aggressive and non-consensual is disturbing. The fact that she was crying from pain but he still kept going is horrifying. And the worst part, she's just realizing now that what happened to her wasn't normal. It was abuse. The way she describes feeling like a sex doll, that's a huge red flag. It's not just about rough sex or different preferences. It's about consent, respect, and her voice not being heard. He took away her agency, ignored her pain, and manipulated the situation to justify his actions. Her background makes this even more heartbreaking. When you grow up in an abusive environment, your sense of what's normal gets so warped that you don't immediately recognize when something is wrong. And that's exactly what's happening here. She's been emotionally numb to it because, in a way, this kind of treatment probably feels familiar. But just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's okay. This guy is dangerous. She's not just his sex toy. He's treating her like she has no say in what happens to her own body, and waking her up in the middle of the night to do it again. That's not just messed up, that's predatory. She needs to get out. Now there's no "I love him," but in situations like this, love should never come at the cost of your safety, your autonomy, or your ability to say no. And the fact that he brushed off her pain with, "You never said no," just proves how twisted his mindset is. That's not a misunderstanding. That's calculated. I hope she reaches out to someone who can help her see this for what it really is, because no one should ever feel like they're just being used. No one deserves this. Am I the asshole for not allowing my GF's friends to sleep on our bed? My girlfriend, F34, and I, M35, are living together. We are renting a 2-bed, 1-bath apartment. One room is for guests, as we often have friends come around so they can sleep over if they want. Although it's just one queen bed. Lease is under my name, and I pay 2/3 of the rent and bills. My girlfriend takes care of the remaining 1/3. Although we are not married yet, we are planning to get married sometime this year or next year. So, I'm a big believer that our room, where my GF and I sleep, to be our sacred space. I never let any of my friends to even come into our room, let alone sleep on our bed. It's our personal space, sacred even. It's where all my stuffs are, and it's where we fuck, obviously. There are a few instances where friends did enter our room, but never sleeping on our bed. So, currently, I am outstation, and my GF had her friends come over and having a sleepover. They are all females, and they are my friends too. Thing is, our place is small, only have 2 queen beds, and there's one small couch in the living room. We do have some extra comforters and pillows, where sometimes when more than 3 friends are sleeping over, we can let them sleep in the living room, either on the couch or on the floor, with comforters and pillows and blankets. And of course, 2 or 3 friends can sleep on the queen bed in the guest room. Tonight, my girlfriend calls and tells me she plans to let one female friend to sleep together with her on our bed. The other 3 girls are sleeping in the guest room. I am not comfortable with this at all. I can compromise by letting her sleep on our bedroom floor with blankets and all, of course, but not on our actual bed. In fact, there's a couch in the living room. She flipped out on me. Even her friend asked her, "Am I even comfortable and okay if she sleeps on our bed?" I tell her, no, I'm not comfortable. It's my space, my bed. I sleep naked on it. I don't want other people to get into my safe space. So, am I the asshole for not letting a female friend to sleep on our bed with my GF and ask her to sleep in the living room? My girlfriend says that this would waste a perfectly good bed. Bear in mind, I am not even there. I'm just not comfortable. Nah, you're not the asshole for this. Everyone has different levels of comfort when it comes to personal space, and if your bed is something you consider sacred, that's totally valid. It's not about who's sleeping on it, it's about the principle that you don't want anyone besides you and your girlfriend in that bed. And you've been consistent about that. The fact that your girlfriend's friend even asked if you'd be okay with it shows that she understands boundaries. But your girlfriend flipping out, that's kind of surprising. It's not like you're telling them to sleep outside in the cold. You literally offered alternatives, like the bedroom floor with blankets. That's a reasonable compromise. I get that from her perspective. It might seem like a waste of space, especially since you're not there, but this isn't about efficiency. It's about your sense of privacy and comfort. And honestly, that should matter in a relationship. If something makes you uncomfortable, your partner should at least respect it, even if they don't fully get it. At the same time, it might be worth asking yourself, is this really a hill to die on? Like, would it actually bother you once it's done? Or is it more about sticking to a rule you set for yourself? If it genuinely makes you uncomfortable, then stand your ground. But if it's just a principle thing, maybe consider whether it's worth the argument. Either way, you're not an asshole for having boundaries, and if your GF is planning to marry you, she should respect that. Today, I fucked up during my girlfriend's birthday. I never planned to break up with my girlfriend on her birthday, but it happened anyway. Let me paint the picture. Last night, rooftop, friends, alcohol, DJ, etc. I had too much to drink before having an unexpectedly deep conversation with a dude who was clearly stoned. I didn't know him, but he got my attention when he randomly asked me if I've ever had the misfortune of seeing someone chewing gum with their front teeth. I said if I did, I never noticed. The stoner dude said he used to date a girl who always chewed gum, and she only chewed with her front teeth, which eventually made him tap out of the relationship. The two of us ended up going down a rabbit hole and unpacking our relationship experiences. I had too much alcohol in my system to go that deep because nothing stopped me from telling the stoner dude that I was planning to end my relationship with my GF after her birthday. Later that night, my girlfriend approached me to inform me that someone just made her aware that our relationship was apparently ending soon. When my girlfriend asked me to confirm if that was true or not, I was at a loss for words, which was more than enough confirmation for my girlfriend to file my silence under "it must be true." Before I could think of the best response, my girlfriend was gone. She vanished into the crowd, but she didn't stay invisible for long. When I saw her again, she was standing next to the DJ with a mic in her hand and announcing that she was officially single. She made a joke or whatever about wanting a man, not a boy, who at least enjoyed eating ass, unlike someone she dated recently. The DJ, who was not a man or a boy but a girl, raised her hand like she was volunteering to be an eater of ass. Cut to my girlfriend making out with the DJ while half the crowd cheered them on and the other half were watching me with anticipation. Needless to say, I left. Hands down the most uncomfortable birthday I've ever experienced. Damn, man. You really fumbled this one. I don't even know what's worse. The fact that you got too drunk and spilled your breakup plans to some random stoner, or the fact that your girlfriend found out in literally the most humiliating way possible. Like, there's bad timing, and then there's this. I mean, look, breakups happen, and if you were already planning to end things, that's fine. But waiting until after her birthday and then accidentally leaking the info on her birthday, that's brutal. You basically turned her celebration into your breakup party, and she didn't even get to RSVP. That being said, the way she handled it, iconic. Painful for you, but objectively iconic. Announcing the breakup on the mic, calling you out for not being an ass eater, and then making out with the DJ while the crowd hyped her up. She turned a bad situation into her own personal music video. I gotta respect the commitment. But bro, you left. You just dipped. Nah, you should have stayed, owned up to it, and at least tried to have a conversation. I get it. It was uncomfortable as hell, but walking away just cemented the whole boy not a man thing she was talking about. Moral of the story. If you're planning a breakup, never discuss it while drunk, especially with a stranger, especially at your soon-to-be ex's birthday party. You basically speed ran a breakup in the worst way possible. But hey, at least you've got a wild story to tell, assuming you can ever show your face around that crowd again. My girlfriend is beyond stupid and I feel like I might have to end the relationship. Okay. When I first met my girlfriend, I noticed she sometimes made misjudgments, but I didn't think much of it. Now that we've been together 2 years, I realize how stupid she is. That might sound harsh, but that's the only word I can think of. We will go downtown to some place she wants to go, and she will walk down a street and be like, "Oh, wait, wrong way." Then walk down another street and be like, "Oh, no, wrong way." Then walk down another street and be like, "Oops, wrong way again." It's horrible. She has no sense of direction, and I feel so stupid following her around. She also talks in circles, which makes me so angry. Like for an example, yesterday, she asked me, "Do you want a burrito for dinner?" Then I replied, "We don't have the ingredients for a burrito, so I'm going to eat the food we have in the house." She then asks, "Oh, so you don't want a burrito?" So I thought maybe she bought ingredients for a burrito, so I said, "Sure, I'll have a burrito." She then says, "Okay, but we don't have the ingredients for a burrito." Like, yes, I know that. Her stupidity makes me treat her worse, which I hate because I don't want to be rude to people, but sometimes the way she talks and acts just infuriates me. I also feel more slow and held down when I'm with her. Like when she makes a dumb decision, I'm usually around her, so I have to help her correct her mistake. Anytime I do something alone, I feel a huge wave of happiness go through my body because I don't feel held back from her behavior. Overall, she's a good person, but I honestly don't think I can continue a relationship with her. Her misjudgments cause me so much financial loss and general stress. Dude, just break up with her. Like, yesterday. You clearly don't respect her, and honestly, it sounds like you don't even like her at this point. Relationships aren't supposed to feel like a burden where you're constantly irritated and resentful. The way you describe her, it's not just frustration, it's full-on contempt. And once you reach that level, there's no real coming back from it. Look, not everyone is great with directions, and yeah, some people have a roundabout way of communicating. But the way you talk about it, it's like every little mistake she makes fuels this growing fire of anger inside you. That's not healthy for either of you. And the fact that you feel relieved when she's not around, that's a huge red flag that you're just not happy in this relationship. If being alone makes you feel free and joyful, then what's the point of staying with someone who makes you feel slow, stuck, and frustrated? At the end of the day, you don't have to justify why you want out. You don't need a big reason or some massive blowout fight. Just the simple fact that you're unhappy and don't see a future with her is enough. You owe it to yourself and to her, honestly, to stop dragging this out. Let her find someone who actually appreciates her for who she is, and you can go find someone who doesn't make you feel like you're babysitting. I found out my partner had a work wife, and it was way worse than I thought. I've been struggling to process this and decided to share my story here. Maybe someone else has been through something similar or can offer advice. My partner and I have been together for 6 years. We've always had a strong relationship, or so I thought, and while we've had our ups and downs, I never doubted their loyalty. That is, until a few months ago. It started innocently enough. My partner began talking about a coworker they seemed close to, a work wife, as they jokingly called her. I didn't think much of it at first. I get it. People develop friendships at work, and it's good to have someone to help make the 9 to 5 more bearable. But as time went on, I noticed little things that didn't sit right. They'd come home talking about inside jokes or shared lunches with her, and it seemed like her name came up in every conversation. Then there were the late-night texts and work meetings that conveniently cropped up at odd hours. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really did. But one night, while my partner was asleep, curiosity got the better of me. I know it wasn't right, but I looked through their phone. What I found shattered me. The texts weren't about work at all. They were flirting, sharing personal details, and even making plans to hang out outside of work. My heart sank. It wasn't just an emotional connection, it was clear they had crossed a line physically too, based on some of the messages. When I confronted my partner the next day, they admitted to the affair but tried to downplay it, saying it didn't mean anything. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could something that didn't mean anything risk destroying our relationship? I'm still trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wants to work through it. We've been together for so long, and I don't want to throw everything away. But another part of me feels betrayed in a way I don't think I can ever recover from. Have any of you been through something like this? How did you decide whether to stay or walk away? I'd love to hear your thoughts or advice. First off, I'm really sorry you're going through this. Betrayal, especially from someone you trusted for 6 years, hits hard. And the fact that your partner downplayed it? That's brutal. Honestly, the way you described this, it wasn't just a harmless work spouse situation. It was a full-blown emotional and physical affair. Your gut was telling you something was off. And, unfortunately, you were right. The real question is, can you ever truly trust them again? Because even if they say it didn't mean anything, their actions show otherwise. They chose to text, flirt, and meet up behind your back. They chose to betray you. If you want to work through it, it's going to take a ton of effort. From them, not just you. That means complete transparency, accountability, and rebuilding trust from the ground up. But if you already feel like this betrayal is too deep to move past, don't force yourself to stay just because of time invested. You deserve a partner who chooses you every day, not just when they get caught. My wife got a scary test result back, and I'm barely holding it together. My wife and I are in our late 30s. Several months back, my wife suddenly started having blood in her urine and pain in her kidney area. She went to urgent care where they suspected it was a UTI, put her on antibiotics, and suggested some follow-ups. It cleared up in about a day on antibiotics, and due to some miscommunication, none of the follow-ups happened. Fast forward a few months, and it happened again. We learned this time that her previous UTI test was negative, and they scheduled an MRI. The blood again cleared up in a day. And when she had the MRI, it showed exactly what I suspected, a few kidney stones on the side with the pain. We thought all was good except the issue with the stones. She was referred to a urologist who suspected it was the stones but wanted to do a few more tests, including looking at her bladder. That test was a handful of days ago, and it didn't go well. It showed she has a couple of lesions in her bladder. At first, I didn't panic and told her everything would be fine. Unfortunately, I did the worst thing possible and used Google. I quickly found articles that said 99% of bladder lesions are cancer, and even if treatment goes well, bladder cancer has an up to 80% reoccurrence rate. I don't want to tell her any of this and cause her to panic, but I'm in full meltdown, spirally mode internally. I can't sleep. I start thinking of the worst, how to tell our kids, etc. While driving the other day, a song came on the radio and I lost it. Not sure why, but Brandi Carlile's The Story started playing. It's not typical on stations I listen to. Now I have to sit around, unable to focus on anything, while we wait for our medical system to schedule the next tests. Man, I'm really sorry you're going through this. The waiting, the uncertainty, it's absolute torture. And I get why your mind is spiraling. Google can be brutal, especially when it comes to medical stuff. But the reality is, you don't have a diagnosis yet. There are so many things lesions could be besides cancer, cysts, inflammation, even the result of infections or irritation from kidney stones. Right now, the best thing you can do is not let fear run the show. Your wife needs you to be steady, to be her rock. If she senses you're spiraling, it'll only add to her stress. So, as hard as it is, take this one step at a time. Breathe. Distract yourself when you can. And don't go through this alone. Lean on a friend, family member, or even a therapist to help process everything. You're stronger than you think. No matter what happens, you'll face it together. And that's a wrap on today's roller coaster of emotions. From relationships falling apart to downright unbelievable moments, these stories prove that life can be messier than we ever expect. What do you think? Who was in the wrong, and who just got dealt a bad hand? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this and want more wild stories like these, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and help me reach 1,000 subs. Your support means everything. This has been Luis Stories, and I'll catch you in the next one.